Welcome back to KCHI Press, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eddie Law. Joining us today is a two-time IBJJF No-Gi World Champion, bronze medalist from ADCC World Championships just last year with an extensive resume. We don't have a time talking about everything he's done. Undefeated in one championship, 2-0, getting ready to take on Tye Ruotolo for the third time, this time with a belt on the line at One Fight Night 31 on May 2nd in Thailand. Dante Leon, how you going? How you doing, Dante?
Good, man. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, thanks for jumping on, taking the time. I know you're getting all ready, but the first question I had doing research for this one, and because I've seen you compete before at DCC, BJJF, and all that. How did you go from Ontario, Canada, to Toledo, Ohio, of all places, man?
Yeah, so coming up, anybody doesn't know, like Windsor is the kind of like the major city around where I grew up in Canada. I grew up in like the county country area just outside of Windsor. So Windsor is basically like North Detroit. There's like a little bridge, right? It's two
Yeah.
different countries, but it's basically like North Detroit. If you want to shop, if you want to do any of like the really cool things that Windsor didn't offer, you just jump across the pond and go to Detroit. And that was always what everybody did. My mom grew up working in the States. My friends' parents grew up working over in the States or spending time in the States as well. So Toledo is only about an hour away door to door from like the Windsor area to Toledo, Ohio. So during the times when I started to compete more, I would start to cross train in the Detroit area in Toledo, Ohio. So I built a lot of relationships there over the years. And at a time when I was a little bit older, I was finally able to kind of like move on. Everybody in jiu-jitsu thought you had to go out to the West Coast, especially at that time in like 2014, 15, you had to go out to California. So I moved out to Toledo for a little bit and thought, this could be like a transitional spot and ended up staying. And that's pretty much it.
So it's not a big. I know it's not a town, like a small town, but it's not a massive city. It's like 300,000 people, something like that. Are you
Yeah,
like
exactly.
super comfortable there?
I feel great here, man. It's a lot like, I don't live in the country anymore, and
Mhm.
part of me might miss it, part of me doesn't, but it's a
Mhm.
lot like where I grew up. We're Windsor and Toledo, they're blue collar, hardworking people. It's very affluent. There's a lot of different um, things to do, but they're very simple in the things there are. It's
Mhm.
relying on industry, hardworking, middle class here. So I felt right at home since coming to Toledo. I felt right at home, and now having a gym with several students from Toledo
Mhm.
and the area, I feel even more at home here.
There you go. All right, man. Let's talk jiu-jitsu. 2-0 and one championship with Ty's title on your sights. You guys are currently, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are tied, I think, 1-1.
Yep.
What's the mindset like coming into this one? I mean, to break the tie, but it's also like a title on the line. What's the mindset coming in this one?
Yeah, the mindset is to beat Ty. That's really
Mhm.
all it is. It's to beat Ty. Everything else is like secondary. Getting up 2-1 on the scoreboard, that's great. Getting the belt, incredible. And I'm not taking anything away from that, but it's really about beating Ty. Coming
Mhm.
over to one, it's been about beating the best people in the world. It was about hunting these people down. So they have the best grapplers in the world, one championship. In my opinion, before I was ever even a part of this organization, it's the premier. It's
Mhm.
the Premier League, 100%. This isn't it's not like anywhere else in grappling right now. Exclusively, they have the best grapplers in the world,
Mhm.
and especially at and around my weight class. So, that's why I came over here, and that's why I'm here now taking these matches.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, you competed everywhere: ADCC, IBJJF, WNO. I think Fight to Win, who's number one, or
Hmm.
that's WNO. But
Yep.
you've been everywhere. What's the biggest difference? And I know they're run different. And I know some are tournaments. They're not really promotions, really, other than Fight to Win and WNO. What is the biggest difference you've seen in comparison between one championship and those other events?
Well, the biggest difference I would say, like, there's so many small differences, but if I'm to nail down on what like the biggest difference is, it's the consistency. When you
Mm,
go to one championship as an athlete, it's very, very straightforward, regimented, and simple for you as an athlete to do all the things you need to do.
mm,
Even required like moving up in the ranks, and now that I'm number one contender going for a title, there's obviously a little more that's required from me as far as what to do pre-match, what to do pre-fight, some more filming, some more things like this. It's all taken care of by them. It's all very simple. They go out of their way to make sure everything's going well for you. On top of which, they have a incredible production. So it makes you feel like, you're in this very, like superstardom almost. It's really cool. And as a grappler coming up with a lot of these other tournaments, there wasn't really an opportunity to feel like that. And even some of the other tournaments that do offer that, and you might get that feeling, the other things behind the scenes might not be the same. So one does a great job of balancing everything and making such a great event. It's like a spectacle every time you're there. The lights, the audience, the camera work, it's all incredible. Watching the events back is great, but the biggest thing is how easy, seamless they make it for us to once we get off the plane to when we go home.
And to an athlete, busting ass all the time, and
That's
really focusing on
everything.
this,
That's
everything.
everything. Yeah.
100%, dude. All right, now back to Tye. So you've beat him before, but the last time you faced him, in 2021, he caught you with a nasty, like it's like a some crazy power guillotine deal. I still can't, figure it out. But it was like 10 seconds to go. I know in jiu-jitsu we shake hands and good match, good luck, and all this stuff. But man, has that loss been kind of a thorn on your side?
Yeah, I don't think I have a loss, especially like a loss that I lose by submission that
Mhm.
I would that's easy for me to swallow,
Mhm.
I'm not a sore loser by any means, but I definitely want to get back all the matches that I've had where I've lost, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's one thing that's cool about my career is for the most part, matches that I've lost, I've come back and kind of like wrote my wrongs a little bit. So this is a match that kind of goes into that, but at the same time it's been so long since we've gone against each other that
Mhm.
it's really interesting to me. It's really exciting. It's over 3 years, really. It's at
Yeah.
least over 2 3 years since we've gone against each other. So it's crazy to think about and see what changes are going to be here. I know
Mhm.
he's probably not the same grappler. I know for sure 100% I'm not either. So there is there's some things that are there's few stones that are left unturned here that definitely the only way we can get the answers that we need is another match.
And they talk about getting these back. You got to ask about Mika Galvao. You guys have traded wins and losses kind of back and forth through your careers and everything. But the last time you submitted him at ADCC, right? You got
Yeah.
think the was the heel hook. It was a heel hook, right?
Ankle lock. Yeah.
Ankle lock. Thank you, ankle lock. And so anyway, when you got up though, I think I burst out laughing because you had this look on your face that it was like, yeah, I told you that was gonna happen. I told you I was gonna get it back. And what were you thinking like seconds after you got it? Because the look on your face to me said everything.
Yeah, I mean, I had so many close matches with them and so much controversy
Mm-hmm.
behind those matches, and it has nothing to do with him. It has to do everything with judging and
Yeah.
public's perspective and perception of all this. That there was just so much there that was left. There was a lot there that was like left up in the air, and
Mm-hmm.
probably for him too. I know 100% for him as well. I don't think being the athlete and as skilled as he is, I don't think he wants to win matches just like where everybody says it was
Yeah.
BS or everybody says, you didn't deserve that win, you should have lost. So yeah, there's a lot there that we really had to kind of like settle. And
Mm-hmm.
submitting him has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with like the public. I feel like the public forgot about me or almost thought like, they kind of swept me by the
Mm-hmm.
wayside, put me by the wayside. And for a long time after losing to Ty, I think when the conversation about Ty came up, that same thing kind of happened. It took
Mm-hmm.
years for me to kind of change course of my career and get all these huge wins, even wins over Micah, wins over all these different people before people could be like, "Oh, hey, Dante has a chance against Ty." It's like, "Yeah, no kidding. I beat him before." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
people have a very short memory in the fight game, especially fans. Somebody else comes along or you drop a couple matches and they kind of like delete you from their memory a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
understanding that, knowing that, I knew I had some work to do, especially after that last match to Ty. I think
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of like the turning point in my career where I really changed things. I really started to dial things in as a professional. And here we are today, a number of years later, in a completely different human being.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's funny because they have to call jiu-jitsu the gentle art and all that. And I'm just like, I don't know what you think is gentle about it, bro. From the actual matches to the opinion, court of public opinion, ain't nothing gentle about it. So
No, I mean,
yeah.
you could. The thing that's cool about jiu-jitsu is you could do it gently,
Yes,
Like you can
yes.
train even at a high level, you could train and really like be able,
Mhm,
even while training for this match, I can train in a gentle way. It's not
mhm,
exactly gentle, but it's in a more controlled, gentle way. But I mean, when you were talking about competition, it is combat, even though we're
mhm,
not punching, kicking, really trying to do things. We're really trying to legitimately hurt each other with submissions that we're trying to break bones and put people to sleep and
mhm.
slam people down on the ground, strangle people. Like we're really trying to hurt each other here. This is definitely a form of combat.
There you go. It says, so if anyone thinking that the general art thing still sticks, forget it. Not a
Uh
thing.
huh.
Just train gentle. All right. So Ty, obviously, you're going for the title, one welterweight submission champion. His brother Cade is the lightweight champion. Any thought on maybe making this a family thing? Say you take Ty's title next weekend, maybe hit that weight cut a little harder, go for Cade's lightweight title. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, my walk around weight is in the low 170s.
Oh, yeah.
I am one. People get confused when they see welterweight.
Hmm.
Welterweight
Yeah.
at one championship is the 185. Lightweight is the 170, right? So,
Hmm.
I am a lightweight grappler. I'm the 155 to 170. That's where I
Yeah.
can like bounce around between that pretty easily and naturally at 170. So, being a 185 champ, it really doesn't change anything because in a
Hmm.
way, I think Ty is up there just because he's a little bigger than Cade. So he's
Hmm.
there to kind of get out of his brother's way so they can have they can each have a belt. But yeah, I'm not against, like I said, coming over to one was to go against the best guys in the world. Cade and
Hmm.
Ty for a long time, Ty was the best guy in the world, and then now Cade has kind of like stepped in and got that since the CJI kind of
Yeah.
event. But going into CJI, Ty was considered to be like the scariest grappler under 185 pounds for like 4 years straight.
Yeah.
So, those are the best guys in the world. Those are the guys who I'm looking to go after and beat. And definitely not looking at anything to do with Cade until we deal with Ty. But
Hmm.
if we take care of business, he's still one of the best in the world, and he's still somebody who would be a great opponent.
Well, you heard there, Chatri. All right, call my guy after he gets his title next weekend. All right, he wants another one. All right, let's do a few quick fire questions, and we'll get you out of here. All right, who is your biggest supporter in this journey in jiu-jitsu? Could be a family member, friend, girlfriend, whatever you got.
I have so many people.
Yeah,
It's so hard to just point one
yeah.
out. But the number one is has to be my dad. My dad introduced me to the sport.
Hmm.
My dad drove the cab, as he said, everywhere for so
Hmm.
many years. You know what I mean? And did so much. And his support and his love hasn't gone anywhere since. So he has a special spot. But as far as other like my mom, my
Hmm.
girlfriend, my business partner and good friend Kelly Highmore, and all of my people that I train with. They're all the best supporters I could ever ask for. But Dino, my dad, he was number one.
Yeah.
He's the one who introduced me to it. He's the one who took me to my first comps and everything. So I'll have to say him.
There you go. All right, the mandatory question for all jiu-jitsu players. I don't, not really a big fan asking it, but here we go. MMA. Have you thought about doing it? Is it something that you're planning for?
Think every single person who ever did jujitsu thought about doing
Yeah.
MMA because in a way that was like your intro to jujitsu. Like when my
Right.
dad would show me what jujitsu was, it was through an MMA fight. Yeah, I've definitely thought about it at this point in my career,
Mm-hmm.
not really like focused on doing it too much. Even though I'm more of a fan of MMA now than ever. I never used to watch
Mm-hmm.
the UFC. Now I'm that guy who is wants to be out on the weekends to watch the fights or wants to have
Mm-hmm.
people over to watch the fights. I love watching fights. I love following the guys' careers, but definitely no interest in doing it at the moment.
All right, just a couple fun ones left here. First one. All right, closest jujitsu friend that is not a teammate. Could be someone you competed against. Maybe you did a seminar with, ran into somewhere, and that you just have, hey man, we're vibing, we're cool.
Yeah, Giancarlo Bodoni is
Mm-hmm.
my closest friend that isn't a teammate. We used to be teammates. A couple of years ago, he moved away, changed teams, and then ended up on the New Wave team with Danaher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And always been a great grappler, and always been like knocking on the door to be the best in the world. But after joining forces over there, he's solidified himself as kind of like a legend in the making, legend of the sport. So John Carl and I go way back, and we have a really, really good friendship still to this day.
All right. Who would you say is your number one rival in jiu-jitsu? Someone that you just like every single time you see them, they're on the bracket on the other side, like, please, I need to make it to that one.
I think I have a few, like,
Yeah.
I think. Micah and I have a good history. I think Ty and I have a good history, even that goes over like 5 or 6, if like 5 years now, over 5 years. PJ Barch, I've gone against like
PJ.
5 times.
Yeah.
So many people that I've gone against many times, and there's been people I've had like 1 or 2 or 3 matches with, and then I haven't gone against them in like 3 or 4 years, but they're always like kind of floating around the events and the tournaments that I do. So it's almost like those rivalries could be like reinvigorated again. So yeah.
There you go. All right. And on May 2nd at 1 Fight Night 31, what can fans expect from Dante Leon?
They can expect somebody who's very prepared to win. Like I said, it's about beating Ty. It's about beating that individual and showing up as the individual who can beat him. What happens after that? What happens inside of the match? Like what exchanges happen, what things happen. Almost impossible to tell about going as somebody like Ty, but you're gonna see two people. If he shows up ready, you're gonna see two of the best grapplers in the world, and you're gonna see some of the most high level jujitsu that has ever been put on display. Not just of the year, not just of the times, not just of this generation in history. Because I believe that we are truly in the best time and we are in the best era of submission grappling ever.
All right, he's fully focused and he's coming for that belt on May 2nd, ladies and gentlemen, at 1 Fight Night 31 against Tye Ruotolo, broadcasting on Amazon Prime. It is the co-main event. Do not miss it. Dante Leon, thanks for the time, man.
Thank you, man.